Now, our next guest is teaming up with Democratic Senator Doug Jones to give them better guidance on all that. Joining us now is Republican Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. Senator, good morning. So good of you to be here. So many questions, and we all want to help our small businesses. They are the engine to this economy. So why is this guidance on loan forgiveness so important?
Well, businesses need certainty and predictability in order to succeed. I was a business owner for about 15 years, and you want good policy. You prefer over bad policy, but what you really need, what is necessary, is certainty and predictability. Clarity on the forgiveness provisions of the PPP is an absolutely essential part of making decisions in the future. We have business owners who have taken the word of the government that these loans will be forgiven, and for us not to have greater clarity on how that will happen, where do you go to get that forgiveness? It will slow down employers' ability to bring back employees and to focus on getting this economy going. The president's done an amazing job of probably saving more than 50 million American jobs in the 2 rounds of the Paycheck Protection Program. Now those business owners need the certainty and the confidence that those loans will be forgiven so that they can focus on the future and not the past.
Very interesting. Senator Marco Rubio and other lawmakers, they are on the ground in their states. In Florida, Senator Marco Rubio said he talked to a bunch of restaurant owners. And while they did get some of the relief early on that they needed, they might need more. Here's the senator.
I was with a group of restaurant owners yesterday, and they're going to get closed. They're 4 weeks into the 8 weeks now if you got your loans at the beginning of this deal, and there's no way they're going to be up and running. So we got to start talking about that.
And that is one of the biggest dilemmas. It's not like a restaurant can flip a switch and they're back to 100% capacity, booking every chair and table in their restaurant, Senator. This is going to be a process. Respond to what you just heard there from your colleague, Senator Marco Rubio.
It's going to be a long, painful process for our restaurants, especially in states like Florida and South Carolina, where we're tourist-driven economies. What we'll see in places like Myrtle Beach and Charleston, more than 1,700 restaurants in just 2 locations in South Carolina laid off thousands of employees. For those folks to come back to work, we're going to have a vibrant economy. That requires that certainty and predictability I was talking about before, but it will also require a new standard for how many people can be in the restaurant at one time. Imagine, if you will, having a restaurant for 150 people now with 40 people as a maximum capacity with a 5 feet or 6 foot of distancing required. That means that the overhead expenses for these restaurants are going to increase. The labor costs will either be stagnant or slightly less, but that will be a very expensive proposition. Calling that back in business is not exactly what the restaurant owners had in mind. And in places like South Carolina, we now have outdoor seating, which means that you can sit outside, but the vast majority of the seats are on the inside. That's really a challenging proposition. That's why these employers need the kind of confidence that comes with the certainty and some insulation about what the future looks like.
It really is going to be a process. The restaurateurs and the restaurant owners will have to make decisions about how to provide a safe environment for their customers. But Kevin Hassett, an economic advisor to the president at the White House, is saying we also have to see confidence on the part of the consumer so that they actually want to go to the restaurant, to the retailer. Here's Kevin Hassett. Let's listen here and I'll get your reaction.
We're in a wait and see mode because we want to see how effectively people can turn their economies back on, how much output we get when they do, and so on, and how that maybe slows the burn rate on the small business loans. Because until you have sort of clarity about, like, really, you could say the first stage of this crisis is we're building a bridge to the other shore, and then once we get to the other shore, we're going to have other things we'll need to do to make people optimistic.
It's such an important point there from Kevin Hassett as they look really into the numbers of getting people back, but optimism is going to be a big part of it, Senator.
Well, confidence is what drives the economic engine all over the world, and specifically in the aftermath of a pandemic. That's one of the reasons why that U-shaped recovery is more likely than the V-shaped recovery. What Kevin just articulated is that for business owners to have greater confidence is one thing, but for consumers to have the same level of confidence is another thing. So businesses being open for business does not mean that consumers are going to have the confidence to come into those businesses. Two really important components to that. Number one, testing testing. I think the more testing we have in the marketplace, the better off it will be, the more confidence we'll have. The second part, which is really interesting, for business owners to open their businesses, we're going to have to resolve the issue of liability. If someone comes into your business and says they got the coronavirus there, that's a major issue. So one of the things that we should have as our top priority to help build confidence is solving the issue of liability for business owners and providing more resources and testing for consumers. When that happens, it's kind of like the closest thing to a trifecta. Your business is open, liability issue has been resolved, and consumers have confidence. Those three things leads to a sharp recovery, and that's what I anticipate over the next coming months.
Sharp recovery.
Yeah, I think it's going to be slow for May and June, but in July, as things start heating up, literally in our country, from a weather perspective, it will also lead to heating up in our economy at the same time. So what you'll see for May and June is a slow start. We're seeing that in South Carolina and throughout the country. June will look a little similar to May, but it'll start seeing an uptick. But July and August, we're looking forward to a sharp recovery in July, certainly August. Football season, saving football will save a lot of jobs and a lot of confidence in the economy, and that will also create that kind of skyrocketing effect that we're hoping for in September and October.
Well, you go back to the words of Kevin Hassett, it's going to be a wait and see, certainly, over the next coming months at how that all plays out. Senator Tim Scott, always great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great day.